Hey everybody, this is Jack Allwell with another Money episode. Today I'm going to be walking through some of our rental properties and how they did for the calendar year 2022. I know I've spoken briefly about some of those properties in the past. The value of those properties have gone up, but that does not mean it's always flowers and roses, because this year cash flow is not a good year. We had some big repairs, and just to give you a little flavor of what that looked like, let's get to it. So I broke these up by the city in which the rental properties are located, and I guess we'll just go through. But you can see this is in Bridgeport. We have a 3-unit. The rents are very low. They have not been raised in 5 years. We're in the process of rehabbing and raising the rents. You see right here in this CapEx line, we put in a new roof, which was higher than what I had thought it was going to be. I mean, these rents are very low. There's 2 at $350 and 1 at $325. So you can kind of see it. It's not a super great property, but making some adjustments and making it a little nicer. We're going to raise the rents, hopefully to about $600 per unit. So we're putting about $12,000 worth of work over this year into that house. So should be fun. But you can see income side here, not too much maintenance. This does have a big lawn though, so some of the grass cutting. And you can see if I just do a average of the net operating income. Now remember, net operating income typically does not include debt. Luckily this house does not have any debt anyway, but you can see that on monthly average, you're averaging like almost $900 in the negative on this property. So that's not great, but so let's go on to the next house. So Bay City, this includes a single family and then a 7-unit. And this property took us about a year to get stable. We got this the summer of 2021, and it took about a year to get it stabilized. And we got the rents up from about $3,100 to about $4,100 in the 7-unit. And so just from a rent basis, averaging about $4,100 a month. So we definitely had some vacancies in the 7-unit. So nothing too crazy. The utilities were the thing I think on this one that kind of stuck out. I mean, we have to pay water on the 7-unit, and it is a large old home, and averaging almost $600 a month in the water and electric in the common area. So water for all the units because it's not subdivided, and the electric is just in the common areas. But now the property taxes I include in here, those are normally rolled in the mortgage. So net operating income for these. Now this does have about a $1,200 interest and principal payment. So we're looking at roughly about $1,000 in just profit on these properties. Now Saginaw, this is my most troublesome property for 2022. This couple was getting the COVID relief money for a good part of the year, and then decided to leave in the middle of the night. So that's why it's so sporadic. And then there's these big payments. But the rent for this house was typically $675 a month, and on average we only collected $45. So not a great year. And so these were all like long-term rentals. Now Myrtle Beach, this is a condo inside a condo hotel that we got at the end of 2021. Much different kind of framework on what we're thinking. This was more of an appreciation play and something we could enjoy. So you can see it's very seasonal. The rents are incredibly high in the summer and pretty abysmal in the cold months. But let's see, on a rental basis, we're averaging about $2,700 a month. But on this one, we pay a much higher percentage to the property managers. So just the property management fee, we're averaging about $1,000 a month on that. So that gives you some reference. And net operating income is $258 a month. Now this one, we have about a $400 debt service payment per month. So it's about negative $150 per month total. Now this one has appreciated like an insane amount just in 1 year. It's gone up like 50%. It's right on the ocean. So it's kind of cool. And one thing I like to do at the beginning of the year is make a plan, a projection, kind of try to get a little bit better at predicting types of expenses, whether that be a roof or some sort of rehab, and try to gauge how we're doing and where we can make improvements. So I'm not going to go house by house, but just on the revenue side, the plan was 100 and almost 4. So we're about 6,000 down on the revenue side. The big ones that were driving on the expenses, so our maintenance was a lot higher than I anticipated. Now, a lot of the Michigan properties are older homes, gives you a bit of a feel for how maintenance might be higher. Now, one surprising thing was that the property management charges were actually lower than I had planned for. Now, in actuality, I split this out into 2 different categories, but originally I planned it as one. But, the property managers have been doing a pretty good job, but our vacancy's been a little higher. One offset of that is that you don't pay as much in property management fees, but definitely had more repairs and trying to update things. This was the roof that I had planned on $10,000 when I had originally looked into it, and then I waited a few months, and sure enough, it's almost up 30% of what I had estimated it being. And then the biggest surprise probably was just how big the water bill was at our 7-unit. So that made up a large bit of this discrepancy here. And trying to think of other things to talk about or touch on. Now, education and learning, we're constantly taking classes to improve it. We took our real estate class, so that's what was driving that. But you can basically see that we had planned, we were net operating income of almost 29,000, but ended up with barely 10. And you might say 10 grand, oh, that's pretty good, but this does not include the debt service. So we were definitely well in the negative for 2022. But I think we learned a lot and we have some direction, and we're going to look to make some improvements, get some quality renters in there, get the rents up, and possibly we will be looking to sell maybe 1 or 2 of the single families and do a 1031 exchange into something larger, something a little bit more manageable, and something with less volatility than just having 1 renter in a home, because it brings other challenges. So with that, I will see you next time, and please like and subscribe.